Future faking is a manipulation tactic that narcissists use to keep their victims hooked. When someone uses a detailed vision of the future to facilitate the bonding and connection in a romantic relationship. A perfect example of what future faking is: let's build a family together. I can't wait to travel the world with you. I could buy a house and we can have kids together. My number one goal is to take care of my family. I want you to be my wife. I can see my kids looking just like you. The narcissist is purposely doing this to keep you in the relationship. It's only to keep you hooked. A narcissist is going to be saying these things very early on in the relationship. Narcissists will not only do this when they first meet you, but they'll also do this right after you break no contact. Be careful.
Let's talk about it. What is future faking in an intimate relationship? So future faking is when a manipulative man uses plans in the future to keep you hooked in the relationship for months, for years, for decades even. If you don't wake up to it, to what's happening. If you don't wake up to the fact that you might need to provide those things that he's telling you he's going to do, and plan to provide it for yourself if it's so valuable to you. Let me know in the comment section what your thoughts are on future faking. Gina Jumesi here, your favorite psychiatrist practitioner. We're on this internet street. I talk about everything mental health, talk about healing from trauma, narcissistic, chaotic, confusing, abusive relationships, and how to minimize the red flags, recognize them, how to stay away from should I go, should I stay, heal from separation, divorce, blah, blah, blah. On and on I go. But future faking is when you might say things like, oh, we're going to get that penthouse apartment. We're going to move to so-so and state. We're going to go to this type of vacation. We're going to travel to Europe. We're going to go on a first class flight to blah, blah, blah. We're going to go to, name it, insert your desire. We're going to get that house in this neighborhood. We're going to get that vacation home. We're going to give you the ring. Yeah, let's give it a year. I'll give you the ring. We're gonna include you in the business that I'm doing. It's always in the future. And then you're sitting on the edge of it's like, oh yeah, he says that. I shouldn't go back to school, but he's gonna include me this. Because you're like a little itty bitty cute little pet that is just being juggled around. Now, it's because you're the perfect pick for this person. So you have to recognize when they are saying things and there's no action behind it. So trusting when they say it and within the allotted time or the agreed upon time is the better term, I should say. Whatever the future plan is, come to manifestation. When you can make any forward moving plans and agreements and actually make it happen, or sometimes they make it happen. For example, somebody might say, okay, I'm going to buy you this whatever car. And then maybe you end up buying it yourself, or they buy it, but then you end up being the one to pay for it. Or they buy the house, like we're going to buy the house, right? So you end up being able to, maybe you pushed, you did all the work and you got the house in that neighborhood, but then the rent is not being paid, my mortgage is not being paid, the bills are not being paid, it's inconsistent. What is the point of getting it when they're not gonna be there consistently to help it be an asset that is not going to get lost? See what I'm saying? So it's a mishmash of manipulation, gaslighting, confusion, and you're like, what is going on? So you just have to recognize that this person is kind of like keeping you on the hook, giving you a little breadcrumbs of hope, and you keep hanging on to that little bitty of hope, and he's telling you, we're going to travel, we're going to go to, let's say you're here, he's a Ghanaian or African, it's like, oh, we're going to go to South Africa, we're going to travel to Ghana soon, me, you, and the kids, we're going to go, we do, and you're hanging on, oh, he said he's going to take us to Ghana, blah, blah. Months go by, years go by, and you never take that trip to Ghana. Start to plan, start saving, pour into yourself, so that void you have, that desire that you have, the need that you're looking for him to feel in regard to external things like that, it's minimized because you're providing it to yourself. Whether you're staying in the relationship and doing it and not having resentment, or you're running away and start your life over, and at the same time not feeling like you've been victimized, but you can consciously, in your wholesomeness, provide those things for yourself. So that's future faking. It can really keep you hooked in really toxic, high conflict relationship for years and decades if you don't recognize that's what it is. You're gonna get resentful. Okay, bye.
Of all the manipulation tactics my ex used, future faking was the most successful at not only trapping me in the relationship, but keeping me stuck there for so long. Because it played directly into my hopes and dreams while also feeding into my fears and insecurities. And if you're new to my page, my name is Jackie, and I'm giving real examples of emotional abuse tactics so that you can spot them in your relationships. When I met my ex, I was 2 years post-divorce, in the middle of a huge transition period in my life. He was only 3 months separated from a 10-year-long relationship. And while I knew that it was too early for him to be dating, we had such a strong connection that I decided to ignore that red flag and just see how it goes. The relationship started very intense. Within the first week, I revealed very vulnerable information about my past marriage and my future wants. I shared that I wanted to remarry, but that I wasn't going to move in with somebody again until I was at the very least engaged. I told him that I wanted a house. I had lost everything in my divorce, and I so desperately wanted to be able to provide a home for my daughter. And I told him I wanted another child. My ex-husband was MIA for the entirety of my pregnancy, and I felt robbed of having that experience with a loving partner. It didn't take long for my ex to start planting seeds of the wonderful future we were going to have together. He was madly in love with me. I was the most amazing person he ever met. I was accomplished and strong and resilient and inspiring, and he was so impressed with everything that I had been through. He said he knew immediately that we were meant to be together and that he was going to marry me. He picked the town that we were going to live in, one that accommodated my future goals, even if it meant moving further away from his children. He asked me to send pictures of the engagement ring that I wanted, because I deserved a proper proposal after he found out that me and my ex bought my engagement ring together. And he said he wanted us to have a baby. He wanted to give me that experience that I didn't have during my first pregnancy. And about a year into our relationship, my ex asked me to move in with him. He said it made the most financial sense because we spent every day together and it would put us in a better position to save for our future goals. Everything was so perfect up until this point that I dropped my boundary because I thought that the proposal was coming soon. It took about 6 months to realize he was in deeper financial trouble than he initially revealed. He couldn't keep up on the utilities and allowed them to run 6 months past due. I learned he had 10 years worth of back taxes to pay. All of a sudden, all of the money that I was saving for our future goals had to go to daily living expenses so that he could pay his lawyers. He dragged out his divorce for 3 years, taking weeks to respond to lawyers or refusing to respond at all, sometimes waiting until motions were filed in order for him to give opposing counsel the information they needed. I eventually reconciled that we just weren't going to have a baby together because he couldn't even afford to pay for his own kids. The majority of our fights were about feeling stuck in the current financial situation and not moving towards those goals that he coerced me into moving in together with him. Because all of this information didn't come out until we moved in together, I felt stuck. We not only integrated our lives, but we had integrated our children's lives. He reminded me of that every single time I tried to end the relationship. What about our goals? What about the kids? What about the future we planned? We've invested so much, we can't just throw it all away. And he would manipulate me into staying. I felt obligated to stick it out even though he wasn't the one following through on his promises. And a week before our final breakup, after many discussions of not having another child, he asked if we could. I learned 2 very valuable lessons the hard way. 1, never drop your boundaries. Someone who really wants a future with you will make it happen without asking you to sacrifice your boundaries. And 2, don't ever trust words alone. Always observe their actions. Words matching actions is integrity. Words not matching actions is manipulation.
When you're dealing with men, the easiest thing to do with them is just listen. Make them feel comfortable and listen. Sit back and enjoy the show. Let them tell on themselves. They're going to tell you everything you need to know. Every situation that happened with the girls in their past, they haven't changed to become no better man. All they do is hop from one woman to the next. There is no break There is no time for reflection to figure out what they did wrong, fix it, and then when they enter into the next situation, be a better man. Most of them ain't doing that type of work. So you have to assume whatever he did with that last one, them couple last ones, that's what he still is. He's still that same exact man. When you talking to a man, you have to understand what he's been doing, right? You got to understand what he's been doing, because just like her comment, the past experience is the best indicator of future behavior. That's exactly what is about to happen with you. Have you ever asked a man what was the reason for his last breakup? Majority of them are going to give you some BS reason that doesn't make sense. And the biggest indicator that he's a liar is when that explanation doesn't make sense. Because what he's trying to do is avoid telling you what actually happened. Because what happened is probably he was broken up with. She left him. But if he was to tell you that she left him, that would lead him into having to tell you why she left him. And he don't want to disclose that part of it. Most men is full of BS. Reason for why he not with the last girl is always going to be she was crazy. That's always going to be the reason. That's always going to be the go-to, because it easily gets them out of the question without having to really elaborate on what happened. But if you're a smart woman, you will pick up on that woman being crazy meant he was playing a lot of mind games with her. And once he played the mind games with her, he had her acting crazy. That's all that means. When you realize that he's not been in no serious relationship in a bunch of years, you know he ain't just been sitting around twiddling his fingers. So that means he's been leading women on all these years, right? So you have to assume, so you telling me you ain't been in no relationship in 5-10 years, but you've been talking to women in this 5 to 10 years. So you've been doing situationships this whole time. You telling me you ain't met one woman that was qualified throughout that 5 to 10 year time span that you wanted to be serious with? The problem was him the whole time. Men who always exes cheated on them, don't believe it. They were the cheater. They lying, right? What they trying to do is gain sympathy from you, right? They want you to feel bad for them. They want you to go into that nurturing spirit and feel bad for them, because the only person who was cheating was them. But they gonna tell you that it's these women that they keep getting with that's cheating. So you telling me you pick that poorly every time? It ain't true, sis.
When you're dating a narcissist or a toxic person, you're going to want to watch out for future faking. And what the heck is future faking? I'm going to tell you. Future faking is when a narcissist or a toxic person makes false promises or future plans with you to keep you on the hook. And I'm going to explain the difference between love bombing and future faking. Love bombing is typically at the beginning of the relationship, and we've all gone through it, so we know it's where the narcissist or the toxic person pretends to be something that they are absolutely not. They are loving, they're compassionate, they're attentive, they're empathetic, they're romantic sometimes. They're very interested in what you have to say. They're all about you. And if you have kids coming into this relationship, they're all about those kids. They're buying you things. They're taking you on trips. They're completely trying to suck you in, pretending to be something that they're not. And then it's a hard pill to swallow when we find out that that person was never real. That person never existed. It was just basically an actor pretending to be something that they're not. Now, future faking happens within the relationship. It happens throughout the relationship. And what that is where the narcissist or the toxic person tries to still keep you on the hook. So they may say things to you maybe a year or two down the road, like, oh, hey, yeah, I really want to buy like a single family house. Or, oh, I'm going to take you on this vacation in a few years. Or, oh, you really like, Jeep. I'm going to buy you a Jeep in a few years, and they know they have absolutely no intention on keeping any of these promises. What they're doing is they're still just trying to keep you on the hook, because they know that their mask is fallen and that you're really seeing that they're not this great person. So they're trying to keep you on the hook, to keep you there so that they can still keep their control over you. I'll give you a few future fakes that my ex-narcissist did. So the first one was a single family home. He kept telling me, oh, we're going to buy a single family home in a few years. We're going to move to that neighborhood. We're going to move there. We would drive past a really nice neighborhood. We're going to live there. We never moved. We stayed in the same place. He's still in the same place that he was 13 years ago when he told me that. The second thing was getting married. We're going to get married in a vineyard, like a vineyard. That's where I want to get married, a vineyard. We never got married. The third thing was I've always wanted to go on a vacation that has those cute little huts that are on that crystal blue water, like they have them in Bora Bora and Turks and Caicos. And Turks and Caicos, he had promised to take me to. He had kept telling me, we're going to go to Turks and Caicos. We're going to do that vacation. And that was a vacation we were supposed to be planning right before he broke up with me. So of course we didn't go on that, but that was just to keep me on the hook so that then he could break up with me. So watch out for the future faking. Keep an eye out for that. Actions speak louder than words. Don't believe their words, believe their actions.
So I'm a diagnosed narcissist, and let me tell you why narcissists future fake. So future faking is basically when a narcissist is romantically interested in somebody and they give these very grandiose and bombastic descriptions of like a great future together, like maybe a great marriage or having kids or whatever. Usually some sort of very, very strong promise of commitment. Now, you might assume that like this is an intentional tactic that narcissists use in order to manipulate somebody into like falling for them and stuff, right? And while I'm sure there's some narcissists out there that do that on purpose, for the vast majority of us, including myself, it's not actually a lie. See, one of the symptoms of narcissistic personality disorder are fantasies of ideal love. Basically, when we meet somebody and get like excited over it and fixated on them, we genuinely think that you're the best thing that could have ever happened to us. We think that you're our soulmate and that nothing could possibly top this superior version of love. We have the best partnership ever, the best relationship that's ever existed. So when we're telling you that, yeah, we mean it 100%. Now, of course, you're probably wondering, okay, then why does it never come true, right? It wouldn't be called future faking if it was always the truth. The thing is, the illusion of you being the perfect person who has ever existed is very, very fragile. And one little thing can make all that fall apart in our minds. For me, how it would go is I would notice one thing that was like a difference between us or like an incompatibility, and my mind would start racing with all of the possibilities and reasons that we aren't actually soulmates and we can't actually be together because I might miss out on the best person ever. And weirdly enough, I think that's why I'm always really insecure that my partner is just going to randomly stop having feelings for me, is because I know that my feelings can change really quick, and subconsciously I assume everybody else does too.
If you have been taken by future faking, there is nothing wrong with you. I want to tell you about why manipulators do this, why it works, and what it says about you. Quick recap, future faking is when somebody sets up an expectation for a future that they do not intend to deliver, and it can be direct or indirect. Direct future faking might look like an explicit commitment, something like, yes, I want to have kids with you, I just need to get through X, Y, or Z thing at work first, or yes, I want to marry you. Indirect future faking could look like, you would make a wonderful mother to my children. Or I could really see us getting married someday. Manipulators do this for a handful of reasons, one of which is to foster a false sense of intimacy to bond you to them more thoroughly. The other reason is misdirection. It is much easier for them to get away with their bad behavior or their inherent character flaws when you're busy focused on thinking, well, we'll just get through this rough patch because the future is going to be wonderful. They do this so that they don't have to change their behavior. They can say something and then continue to live their life as it currently exists without ever following through on their promises, whether they're big or small. And the reason why this works is that manipulators prey on your deepest desires. It can be big and small. Things like wanting kids, wanting marriage, or even just like wanting special dates. Fundamentally, the desire underneath that is wanting to feel special and loved. If you've experienced this, again, nothing is wrong with you. And in fact, this demonstrates that you are a genuine and honest person. You could never imagine making a big promise to another person and then not following through with it. You would never see this coming because you wouldn't do that to someone else. Falling for future faking does not make you gullible. It does not make you an idiot. It only says something about the person doing this to you. If there's one lesson I could leave you with, it is to try and make sure to pay attention to whether words and actions are aligning. If you find that you're noticing that they are not keeping up with their smaller promises, you're going to need to start wondering about the bigger ones.
Do you ever notice how their promises never seem to match their actions? That's called future faking. Future faking is one of the most common tactics that narcissists will use, especially at the very beginning, to keep you hooked and to get you hooked into the relationship. It's when they make these big promises about your future together. We're going to move in, we're going to get married, we're going to have a family, we're going to start a business, things that they might know that you want. But here's the catch. They don't really have any intention of fulfilling those promises to you. They are just words designed to keep you invested in the relationship. They'll create this vision of a perfect future. It keeps you holding on, even when their actions aren't really aligning with it. And they use those promises to really distract you from what's happening in the present, so you start to overlook those red flags. And when you call them out, they'll say, "No, I never promised that," or blame you for why it hasn't happened yet. "You're too sensitive, that's why I don't want to commit to a relationship with you," stuff like that. But the whole future faking concept isn't about them loving you or wanting a future with you. I hate to break that to y'all. I had to realize that too. It's about control. They're not planning for the future, they're managing you in the present. And I think with a lot of this stuff, recognizing that it's happened is one of the first steps to breaking free, because you deserve someone who doesn't just promise a future with you, you deserve somebody who actually builds it with you in real time.
Another tactic used by narcissists and toxic people is future faking. Future faking is when somebody says to you that they're going to do something for you in the future. This is something that you really desire, something that you really want. They say they're going to do this for you, not because they have true intentions of doing it, but because they want something from you right now in the present. An example of future faking can be a guy saying to you, "Oh, when you become my wife, I'm going to buy you a car every 5 years," or something like that. What's going to happen is that you are going to start auditioning and performing to become this guy's wife. You're going to do all these things, and he's the one who's going to benefit. You'll be performing and auditioning, trying to prove to him that you are worthy of becoming his wife. So I have a quick story time on how some guy tried to future fake me. So before I get into the story time, I just want to say men love future faking during the talking stage. They absolutely love it. So this guy said to me, he was like, "Didi, don't you want me to help you open a spa? I can see that you like going to the spa and you like all these nice things." And I was just like, okay, this is random. I had already known that this guy is a red flag because he was love bombing me like crazy. And then the second thing that he said was that he gives 15K as girlfriend allowance. So if I become his girlfriend, he's going to give me 15K as girlfriend allowance. And I was just like, oh, 15K, that's nice, that's interesting. But like I said, this guy was already love bombing me, so I knew that he's a red flag. Anyway, people who future fake because they are trying to rush the access that they have to you, exclusive access to you. They're trying to rush sex. I think in my case, this guy was trying to rush sex, or I don't know what he was trying to rush. And most importantly, people who future fake you are manipulating you to get what they want from you. That's why people always say, let actions speak louder than words. Let your excitement be inspired by what the person is doing right now, not by what they're saying they're going to do in the future.
Listen, this is a manipulation tactic where people will make you sweet promises with no intention of actually keeping them in order to get something from you right now. They overpromise and underdeliver or never deliver at all. They are experts at getting a sense of your hopes and your dreams in order to paint a picture and fake a future that appeals to you. Expert sweet talkers, their words are their weapons, and they don't come across shady, they come across genuine. They use your emotions like your excitement, your taste for adventure, your compassion in order to hook you in to a fantasy future. So they'll plan a weekend getaway and never follow through. Or talk about an exciting business in return for a loan, but keep delaying you payment. Or they'll talk about a house or a future family. Or maybe they're promising to change their behavior, but time and time again, they don't actually do it. They may follow through on little things, like fractions of things, just to build credibility and keep you hooked. Meanwhile, they're literally robbing you of your time until you finally figure it out, and by then, they're ready to discard and move on to the next. Stop falling for future fakers.
Avoidantly attached guys oftentimes will do something called future faking. And here's 2 things to look out for so that way you don't wake up one day and get completely blindsided. Avoidance will future fake, meaning they will go along with plans that you guys have for the future, and they won't voice the fact that they actually aren't on the same page with these plans, or they maybe even are questioning the relationship because they're not good with confrontation and they pressure cook, meaning they bottle up their feelings and emotions. And this can be really devastating because you think that you guys are on the same page, but when in reality, there's actually a great rift between the two of you. Usually when an avoidant is future faking you throughout the course of a relationship, the only time that you're gonna find out is when the other shoe drops. So it might look like you guys are getting along really well and you're planning these extravagant trips and vacations, and maybe he's introducing you to his family, and then all of a sudden one day you get a call or a text and he says that he can't do this anymore, and you're left completely heartbroken and confused and lost, and you have no explanation. The explanation was that he was future faking. He wasn't completely all in on the relationship, but he wasn't going to tell you that. So here are 2 signs to look out for to give you some indication that the guy that you're with is future faking. Number 1 is a lack of day-to-day engagement. What I mean by this is he's not super checked in on a daily basis in your guys' relationship. So he gets home from work, if you guys live together, and maybe he just goes and he plays video games, and he's not planning weekly dates, and he just doesn't seem to have a genuine enthusiasm about the little things that maintain a relationship in the long run. So while he might plan bigger events, this could be a form of breadcrumbing in the sense that he doesn't want to walk away from the relationship, but he's going to do the bare minimum just to keep everything intact. But if he's an avoidant, especially a dismissive avoidant, it is very well possible that he is going along with things, but he is pressure cooking in the background until one day he might not be able to do it anymore. The second thing to look out for is poor recall when it comes to plans that have been made. So maybe you ask him a couple small questions about the logistics around some future trip that you guys are taking, and he is unable to tell you anything about those details. Now, the guy that you're with might just be a little bit distractible, or maybe he doesn't have the best memory. This doesn't necessarily mean that he is future faking your entire relationship, but a guy who is future faking in a relationship isn't going to be able to recall small details about plans very easily because he's not completely checked in mentally. I hope this video helped. If it did, make sure to click the like button, and if you're not already following me, click the follow button as well. If you're really struggling and you want one-on-one support, you can DM me help now and I will personally reach out to you.
Let me make this real simple for you. When people continuously play with you and your feelings, and they discount the way that you feel, and they keep cheating and lying and disappointing you, they are doing this for 2 reasons. 1, they do not fear losing you. This means that they feel as though you're expendable. They feel as though that they can replace you, and they know that no matter what they do, they can live without you. The second reason why they do it is because they believe, right, that you'll never gather up enough strength to really leave them. This is why people continuously play with you. This is why people continuously lie and mistreat you. It's for 2 reasons. Either they know for a fact that they got it like that, and your self-esteem and your self-worth is at an all-time low and you're not going nowhere, or they don't care if you leave. They don't give a fuck if you leave because they believe that they can replace you. So my question to you: are you replaceable? Are you expendable? Are you that weak that you're willing to deal with anything and you'll never leave? I am.